I'm so excited to have you joining Talks with Tina. And for everybody out there, I want to introduce you. So Janet Guptill is the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Scottsdale Institute. Scottsdale Institute is a not-for-profit executive membership organization of leading healthcare systems. And I'm reflecting back, Janet, I was so fortunate. We had gone to lunch and you gave me kind of the great news that you were promoted to the CEO in July. And prior to that, you had served as Scottsdale Institute's executive director for the past 5 years. So you've been with the organization for a while. And I think that you really had to lead the organization through unprecedented change, right? To support the SI members during the COVID-19 pandemic, which had to have been super challenging. So I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you, Tina. I'm thrilled to be here. And you're right. It's been an amazing time. I feel like I've had a front row seat to watching an incredible amount of change across the country, being able to listen in. What a privilege to listen in on our members talking about how COVID has impacted them, how they've had to set up a response, a command center, analytics, dashboards, and now they're turning the corner. We hope it's taking us a lot longer than we all expected. We're calling this the peri-COVID experience now because we're really not post, but we're all learning a lot, and it's been very exciting to watch the changes.
Yeah, and I like that term peri-COVID because I think we were really going to talk about digital transformation in light of kind of the twilight of the pandemic, which we're still in. And so it'll be very, on point and topical for us to talk about this. So let's jump in. The first question I had is when you think about the COVID-19 pandemic as an accelerator that was really shifting consumer preferences and the overall care delivery innovation process, how are your members embracing this digital mindset, and how can health systems transform their relationship with consumers and patients?
Great question, Tina, and thanks for that. I think the shift to consumer has been phenomenal. This is something that, first of all, during COVID, our members said, gee, we had telehealth and virtual care and consumerism and apps on our roadmap. But we implemented all of this in weeks rather than years. And so everyone has transformed to a remote workforce, a incorporation of digital care, and also part of in-person care. And now they're looking to the future. And to really try to capture where our members are on this journey, we partnered with Deloitte around a digital transformation survey. We interviewed individuals as well as serving executives and found that 92% of the respondents to the survey, and literally everybody, said that what they're really hoping out of this next digital transformation is leaning into consumers. And just a little aside, I had a conversation yesterday with the CEO at Henry Ford Health System who said, yeah, I think the SI mission is changing. And really, where you allowed us to get to this point was seeing that an IT infrastructure, an electronic medical record, an integrated health system, those are all table stakes. What we are looking forward to next is really a digitally enabled and consumer empowered version of health. And that's a pretty exciting statement to come from a health system CEO.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And kind of thinking about how they're going to prioritize, which is a nice segue into my next question, which is, as your members think about this digital transformation and their investment needs in the next couple of years, do you think they're going to focus on talent, technology, or all of them?
Yeah, it's all of the above, really. So we had our advisors calls this summer, and we lead an annual conversation with our members around this whole question of what's ahead? What are your high priorities? What are you really focused on? And there really sort of were three key themes that came out of it. One was experience is everything. So we're really seeing that everyone's focused on reimagining that consumer experience, but also really focusing on the provider and colleague experience. So acknowledging that burnout has been a very real issue over the past year and a half. And we're really needing to reimagine that experience as well. Plus, we're focusing on the experience of our communities. Social determinants of health, diversity, equity, and inclusion is all part of reimagining that experience. So I think, first of all, that's one major priority. The second is that thinking digital has become acting digital, and it's really now a cultural shift. And so we're really finding that people are saying we've got to make sure that we continue acting as fast as we did during COVID. We've got to keep up that speed, that agility. We've got to enable an entrepreneurial spirit and innovation. And we've got to become more data-driven in our decision-making, whether that's clinical or whether that's consumer, but really just recognizing that being more analytical going forward is a big part of what we need to be doing that's different. And so that leads us to, well, then what are the new organizational models? And we're finding that that's where things are changing as well. So IT has become front and center with how organizations are planning for the future, but they're also seeing new internal partnerships forming. So they're hiring chief digital officers or marketing and strategy or patient experience people that are often coming from outside of healthcare to really challenge the thinking around how do you connect with people? How do you measure engagement? What's needed going forward while we continue to keep the current operations flowing? So it is a very difficult time to be balancing managing the day-to-day, given all the complexities, while we also are reimagining a different experience. So sometimes it's new talent. I think our back to the survey, 62% of our members said we're kind of midway through this journey, and another 80% said, and leadership is what's going to be key to getting us there. So how do we reimagine this next piece, and what's the leadership talent, but also the bench strength that's going to allow us to think differently?
Yeah, you know what? As a healthcare leader right now, you're getting pulled in so many different directions, and I love those kind of near-term priorities that you outlined, and the data from the survey is really invaluable. When you think about the world ahead, because I can't believe it's already the fourth quarter of 2021, what should health executives be thinking about in 2022, and what will the Scottsdale Institute and its membership be focusing on in the coming year?
We're very excited about the coming year. We're also very excited that for the first time in a long time, we're going to be meeting in person. So we have our Scottsdale Institute Fall Symposium happening the week of November 15th in Scottsdale. And we are thrilled to have our members coming together to debate exactly these issues. The primary focus, though, I think, is on how do you reimagine that new experience? Do you create it as a parallel universe? Or how do you just simultaneously fly the ship while you're redesigning it? And our symposium, for example, is really divided into three major topics. One is addressing this public health role that hospitals have been thrust into. We've been the front line of public health, communicating about COVID and where do we go from here. And diversity and inclusion and equity is still a part of that question. So that certainly continues to be a priority. The second day is all about digital and digital transformation and how it is that our members are in fact reinventing that. So we're going to be diving into the models that seem to be working and what's working, what's not, and what works for what types of organizations. So I think just teasing that out will be an important priority for the year ahead. And then the last day is really focused on our CEO panel and the view from the top and new business models, new strategies. And we'll be exploring that a lot. Are we able to really move past the rhetoric and into reality in terms of value-based care? And what's the role of entrepreneurship? And are we experimenting with new business models, new partnerships, new ways of working with startup technologies? And I think that's another big takeaway is what are the partnerships? What's the larger ecosystem that's going to allow us to think differently about the future?
My gosh, Gina, it sounds like we're going to have some really exciting topics. I know I will be at the Scottsdale Institute Symposium. I can't wait to see you and catch up and share a glass of wine and talk about all these amazing topics. So thanks so much for joining today. And again, really looking forward to seeing you soon.
Great. My pleasure. And same here. Thanks.